Hello and welcome to my breast explant journey. I am Carla Marie. After 10 and a half years, I took out my breast implants about 2 weeks ago at this point, and I'm going to talk about my recovery process. I am joined by my life partner, business partner, co-host, Anthony. I always introduce you as my life partner. When you're not here, I talk about it.
That's weird.
Well, what else? It's weird to say I'm not going to say my lover.
Boyfriend?
And that's like for babies.
That's weird.
We're old.
We're also joined by boobs.
Yes.
Or fake boobs.
So Anthony is here kind of to, I guess, ask me questions as I talk about things, because sometimes it's hard to do this by yourself unless you truly write it all out. And I'm not really a script kind of person. So I'm going to talk about, I have a bunch of talking points. You can ask me questions as we do that. So flying back was something that a lot of people keep asking me about. So I had the surgery as we're recording this 13 days ago, and we flew back from Florida to Seattle 10 days after surgery. And for me, it was great. I didn't really have any problems.
No, it seemed like you were fine. I mean, I helped you move some things around the flight, like putting your bag under the chair, bringing it up, stuff like that. But other than that, I mean,
you carried
flawless.
All the luggage.
Yeah. They have wheels, so it's not that bad.
And a lot of women keep asking, like, could I do this part by myself? Could I do that part by myself? I think you could fly by yourself, because I also flew after getting them in by myself. You just can't put anything overhead. You can have someone do it for you. Yeah. Wheeling a luggage isn't too bad at that point, 10 days out, because it depends how heavy it is. But I was able to like push my luggage, and there's always people at the airport who can help
if you have four-wheeled luggage as opposed to two-wheeled luggage, it's probably easier.
Yeah.
Right? Because with two-wheel luggage, you still have to pull. Yeah. Like, it's got to be behind you. The four-wheel, you can kind of put in front of you and just kind of like nudge.
And push. Yeah. So that's just something to be mindful of. On the plane, I wore a mastectomy pillow. That was something that Lala recommended when I had her on. Even in her YouTube video, she recommends that. And honestly, I did just feel safer at the airport with that, especially when you're in a tight seat. And the person next to me kept like putting their arms up to like touch the light. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to elbow me in the boob when they come down. So I did feel much safer.
But also, even if no one makes contact with you, right? If the mastectomy pillow is still just there.
Yeah.
One of the things that was suggested to me when I tore my Achilles was in crowded areas, even after my boot was able to come off, wear the boot, mainly because then it just indicates to other people that you are recovering from an injury. And that visual representation of like, hey, something's different here, helps protect you a little bit.
I will be honest, a lot of people just thought it was a weird flying contraption.
Yeah, that's true.
Even the TSA guy was like, ooh, what is this new thing? And I was like, oh, I had surgery. And he was like, oh, okay.
It is nice. It has a little like overall front pocket pillow.
And an inside pocket.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Put my AirPods in there, my phone. So that was great. I will do a full list of the products that I used, the supplements that I used, what was doctor recommended, what I recommended on my, whatever it may be, and my thoughts on it. That's coming soon. But this is still very new in the process for me. So I'm figuring out what actually is working and what's not working. Speaking of supplements, I did want to mention I have had no bruising on my breasts at all. And Lala even recommended to take bromelain, which is, they have it at the office, at Dr. Rankin's office. It's Arnica bromelain. The brand that they use is from Silogen, which is the same brand as Scar Gel I'll eventually use. And they told me one to order on Amazon prior to surgery to take that for 2 weeks. And then I bought a new bottle at the office to take now 2 weeks post-surgery. I think the day we were leaving Florida, I maybe saw some yellowing, but I have not a single bruise on my body from the implants, which is insane coming out of a surgery.
Considering what took place.
Yeah.
I mean, literally ripping these things, not ripping, but surgically removing these things from your body.
And holding your breasts open, like with those clamp things that they use. And and the way I bruise, you know that. So I've had no bruising. I've had really almost no swelling. I've used ice because that's just what they told me to do. I did get an ice pack burn because I'm an idiot. So be careful with that.
Yeah, don't put the ice pack directly on your skin right out of the freezer.
Yeah, so, but I wanted to mention that is something Lala recommended, and I've been sticking to it every single day, and it's been great. So highly recommend that. What else do I have? Okay, so we weighed these implants just before doing this podcast, and they clocked in total at 1.79, 1.8 pounds.
Yeah, right under 2 pounds, which was surprising to me because they feel heavier than that. Maybe it's because the way they're formed and like how you have to hold them, but
well, I think also because the weight kind of moves. Because when I also put it on the scale, it was like as they were settling, the weight was changing. So I think that's a lot to do with it. Obviously, it's not just something like it hangs from your body. So it definitely, I'm sure, felt heavier on my body. And I mean, I think it did. Like now I sit here and I think about it. I'm like, I feel like I could fly. Like I'm a little fairy. I do feel lighter, which is crazy to think about. And as I get to do more things, again, only 13 days out of surgery, as I get to do more things, it'll be cool to see how I feel doing them, even just working out, just different things. But I did get a cool email that I wanted to read, and I do have 2 messages that I'm going to read. This is the first one I got from Francesca, and she sent this after listening to one of our previous episodes. And she said, I wanted to validate something you said on the podcast. After going down the rabbit hole with breast implant illness, these things feel like an alien inside of me. And I think, Anthony, I had said to you something like, I have to calm myself down because I start panicking because I feel like I can feel them more. Yeah. And you were saying, because it's getting closer to surgery date.
And it was getting closer to the surgery date, and you're thinking about it all the time.
Yes.
Right? So when you concentrate on that thing, you're going to notice it way more.
Yeah. So Francesca said after going down this rabbit hole, she said, I can feel them move. I can feel the weight. I've been wearing 2 bras lately because I want them to feel less. So if you were like squishing them in, you're going to not feel the move. She said, I can't get them out fast enough. I have the second consultation next week. She was actually going to check out Lisa's surgeon, Lisa, who was on the podcast on one of the episodes. She said, I could actually see someone going crazy enough to cut them out of their body themselves.
Which we are not recommending whatsoever.
And I told Francesca, do not do that. She said, also to comment on your point of going to see an ENT about your sinus issues. I've had a camera up my nose twice and a CT. Nothing is in there. They said if I can't find anything, they'll refer to me to neuro for pain management.
That's crazy.
I've had a $400 nerve conduction test and the tingling pain in my legs, and they just keep telling her, you have perfect nerves. She said after all these appointments and tests, hell, the surgery could end up being even cheaper. Yeah. I do plan to try to get insurance to reimburse me, and this was the day before my surgery, so she said good luck. I know she's further onto the process now. We messaged a bit, and I think she found a surgeon she's going to go to. So that's super exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as you start thinking about it, I have one of my niece's friends has implants, and we were talking about it, and she's like, lately, I feel like I can feel them more than ever. And she doesn't think she has any issues until I start saying mine, and she's like, is that what's wrong with me? So it has been this wild process as I talk about it and more women reach out to me. And that's one of the other messages I want to read. Sorry that you're listening to me read back to back. But when I got this message from SJ, I was like, this is why. Like, this is why I've gone through this whole process. This is why I've talked about it. Like, even if it just helps one person, which it's done more than that, this whole thing it has meaning. So SJ messaged me on Instagram. She said, so I've been following you for years. I first found you on Elvis Duran in the Morning Show, but I haven't been listening to your podcast in forever. I guess
Shame on you, SJ.
She said, but thanking the power of the algorithm, I know why you streamed back to my life. Symptoms of BII. I got my implants 4 years ago when I was trying to figure out my goal look. I actually had a picture of you on my vision board. Oh. In that moment, I was like, oh, man, I'm sorry. But she said, that sounds creepy to say. I'm not a creep. It's not creepy at all. She said, I saw your post before your surgery. And the post she's referring to is me waving my arms in the air like a jerk in the waiting room right before surgery because I knew I wouldn't be able to do that for a while. She said, and I wanted to understand why you were going through this because I've been thinking about getting mine out because they felt too big because of weight gain. Then I found the symptom list. Whoa, I've had the worst year of ailments, all on that list with no diagnosis. I wanted to come meet you Saturday, but I was leaving for vacation. So we did a meetup in Miami before we flew back to Seattle. She said, so now I'm on vacation. I've been listening to your podcast. I didn't even get through the first one, and I'm bawling my eyes out.
Oh, wow.
When you got to the sinus issues and mold, bingo. I spent $6,000 at the doctor's last year.
Jeez.
6 breast ultrasounds. They thought I had cancer from enlarged lymph nodes, extreme joint pain and arthritis in my knees and back hands, psoriasis and eczema, feeling like fluid is in my lungs, all out of nowhere in these past 4 years. Honestly, I thought it was long COVID. I got my implants in 2020, but then you mentioned mold in the implant. I stopped listening and had to write you. I've been allergic to mold since I was a child. Sinus testing proved it. Penicillin could kill me.
Oh, wow.
I'm so mad at myself right now. Anyway, thank you for posting. My research has begun. I'll be looking for a doctor. I'm moving from Parkland to St. Pete. I'm saying this if anyone has any doctor recommendations for her. She's going to check out Dr. Rankin. But SJ said, thank you for talking about this. I've been nervous to admit to anyone I made a bad choice for myself. I just told my first friend I was thinking of this, and I thought she would dismiss me. She didn't. It just takes talking about it. It's real.
Yeah. The more you talk about it, the more information you can get, and the more open people are going to be with you because you're also being open with them.
And I even said that to someone in the Facebook group. They were like, I feel like no one I know has gotten this. And I commented, I said, just start talking about it. Because once I did, I had people in my life reach out to me like, oh, my mom had hers removed. Someone I went to high school with reached out and was like, my mom had hers removed and she's never felt better. Or it's crazy when people start reaching out. But I got SJ's message and I was like, I was about to cry. And it's crazy because you feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah.
And I even knew about breast implant illness. And it took me a minute to be like, hey, maybe all of these things I'm feeling, the weight gain, not even the weight gain, the 3 years of trying to lose weight, doing everything I did in the past. And you, Anthony, not in a bad way, would be like, maybe you're just getting older.
Yeah, I mean, because as you get older, it is a little bit harder to lose weight. We're not as active as we used to be.
And I wanted to be like, yeah, but, and I did say this, there's 50-year-olds, which it's fine being 50, I'm not saying that. There are 50-year-olds with abs, and I know it's possible. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know all my allergies. Why? Like, I know the foods that cause inflammation. I'm not eating them. What's happening? It was so frustrating. Mm-hmm. And still don't know if this is the cause. I do know that within a week of surgery, I lost 6 pounds out of nowhere.
Well, two of them are on the table.
2 of them are right here in front of me. But more to tell. Again, I will keep saying this, 13 days out. Doctors say it takes 6 months to see your actual breast. Women say even a year after they were changing. And some women say it took them years to fully detox.
I think of it like, when you get a memory foam mattress, right? You're supposed to open it up and then let it breathe for a day. And then it's not really going to take form for probably 2-3 days.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to let it go through the process. You've got to let everything expand and contract the way it's supposed to and heal. Obviously, you still have wounds, right?
Yeah.
Everything still needs to heal.
I still have the tape on the, what are these called? Sutures. I don't even know what the scar, I don't think I know what the scars look like. No, I did see them in the drain appointment before they put this tape on. The tape should fall off by next week. If not, I can take it off. And that's going to be a whole nother mental battle, physically seeing these scars. Because the tape right now is tan. So when I look at my breasts in the mirror, I'm like, oh, wait, it's not that bad. But the scars are pretty gnarly. Even my mom was like, they're pretty big because they are bigger than the original. They do that to make it easier to take the implant and the capsule out to get all of it in there. But it is, I don't know if I said this last week, the scars seem like they're in a weird place because the original scar was under my breast because the implant pulled my skin and pushed them out. Now it almost seems like they're just on my rib, which is weird.
And everything still has to settle into place as well.
Yeah, so a lot needs to happen. And I am going to keep saying this because I know a lot of women are impatient like me. Day 13 out of 365 plus. Yeah.
And it's a legit surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, they fully put you under. They're removing 2 pounds of a foreign object from your body, plus cutting you open, all of that. So, plus the capsule. So you just have to be patient. And it sucks because we as humans are not patient. I mean, I could order something from China today and get it in 3 days. We're just not programmed to be patient anymore, right? But we have to be.
So I did reach out to Dr. Rankin because I had some questions. I got my post-operative report, and it said some things in there that I was like, well, what does this mean? Mm-hmm. Because you're I don't know what doctor language is. Or, I mean, I was just like, but what does that mean for me as a human? This is my body. What exactly does this mean? So I reached out to Dr. Rankin, I said, in my post-op report, it says that my muscles were, quote, riding high on the chest wall, making full anatomical correction impossible. But I did reestablish as much anatomy as I could to prevent as much post-op animation as possible, end quote. I said, can you explain that for dummies? Is this common? What makes a muscle high? And he said, as far as the muscle riding high, this is a very common finding. When a doctor places a breast implant, part of the muscle is cut, and then the implant pushes the pec major muscle upwards, causing this finding. So when they push in the implant, it pushes your muscle up. In the majority of my patients, as with your surgery, normal range of motion and strength is ultimately achieved. So I should be able to use my muscles moving forward. However, I guess deformity is not the best word to use, but it won't look as if it would have if I never got the implants.
Yeah.
So there will be a little bit of change. And I did have someone reach out and say, I have no upper boob after their explant. I have no upper boob, but I do like the way my breasts look. And I know exactly what she means. Like, I think I won't have any breast tissue that's high up on my breasts. That's kind of because the muscle's there. The breast tissue will be a little lower from what I understand and what they're looking like so far. I also asked Dr. Rankin, why do I have to wear this ACE bandage wrap? Because not everyone does. And I got to just take it off for the first time last night. Well, other than showering. And I'm wearing just my surgical bra today. And I feel so much better because that thing was tight. And he said the ACE wrap provides compression to help close the pocket that is created with the implant being removed.
Which is kind of the same reason that the drains are there.
Right. He said it prevents fluid buildup so that the drains can come out quicker. So basically, I got to take the drains out last Tuesday, and then I wear the ACE bandage. Or you keep drains in longer and don't wear the ACE bandage. I'm very much okay with wearing the ACE bandage over having things hanging out of my body.
And at the end of the day, it's not that big of it. It's tight, but it's not that big of a deal.
And then I said to Dr. Rankin, I remember someone in my recovery saying the implants were attached to my chest wall. What happens in that case, assuming you need to scrape? I know during my consult you mentioned they could be attached to my ribs, but I'm assuming that wasn't the case. Is this also why one side may be experiencing more discomfort than the other? And he said, when the capsule is very stuck to the chest wall, I often have to do scraping. The chest wall does include your ribs. One side often experiences more discomfort during the healing process, and there really is no rhyme or reason to this.
Okay.
And I wonder, because it's my left side that hurts more, and I know there's more nerves and everything there because your heart's there.
Okay.
And I wonder if that's why. But it's weird because that had the smaller implant, but that was the side that I had more of those shooting pains in. The side that bothered me the most when it came to those pains. So it could have been a little bit more stuck or annoying. I don't know. It is the one that I would say, quote unquote, looks a little weird. But when I stare at them, it's not actually that it looks weird. It's actually bigger, and it actually looks more like a normal breast than the smaller one because it has a little bit of I guess it starts to hang a little bit as a boob should. But when I look at them, I'm like, well, it looks weird. The other one looks normal, but it's not. So I think they're going to have two personalities moving forward, like every natural breast really does. And I didn't ask you this last week, Anthony, but you got to see them 5 days post-op. No, 4 days because you showered me, helped me shower. What was that like for you? Because you said you wanted to wait 5 to 7 weeks or whatever it was.
It was a little weird. I mean, I'm
not going to be offended.
No, it's just weird. I mean, there's cuts and holes and
drains,
wrinkles and things. So I don't know. I didn't really think much about it, honestly. It looked weird, but that was about it. Just looked weird.
And now you've seen them again, and they definitely look different, which is crazy. Yeah. Seeing them change every
They look more, I guess, quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you sad?
No.
I'll keep the implants for you to hold.
Yeah, that's
like Deb mentioned on when she was on the podcast from The Heel Is Real.
Yeah.
She said if her husband ever misses them, they're just in the cupboard for him to grab.
No, I don't need those things anywhere.
Okay. Good. So I did have the nerve blocker in my surgery. You pay extra for that. The idea is that you don't feel any pain for a few days after, and you don't need to take any painkillers, which they make me super sick. I hate the way I feel on them, and I don't really feel like getting addicted to drugs. So I filled the prescription just in case. didn't take a single one. I only took extra strength Tylenol anytime I felt some discomfort. But looking back now, part of me wishes I didn't get the nerve blocker.
I don't think you would have felt that way if you didn't,
So,
because it would have been pretty painful.
Lala didn't get it.
Okay.
And she had a lift.
Yeah.
And she said, I just did extra strength Tylenol.
I don't know.
And the reason I say that is because it was about 5-6 days post-op. Drains are right before the drains came out, and then a little bit after the drains, I started feeling discomfort. I hate saying pain because it's not like a real pain. It's like a super sore muscle on my left side. And I was like, oh my God, something's wrong. I'm feeling pain now. I didn't feel pain and I had to keep telling myself, no, like the nerve blocker's wearing off and you're starting to heal.
Yeah.
But because I didn't feel pain immediately after being cut, my mind was like playing these games with me.
Yeah.
And then now I'm not anywhere near my doctor. So like I'm a little bit panicky when it comes to feeling discomfort.
But discomfort and weird sensations and all of that, that's just part of the healing process.
I keep getting not chills, I guess maybe chills, but like tingles where the incisions and the drains were. And I'm just like, ooh, they're reconnecting. Like that's just how I'm going through this. I know I'm going to get zingers. That is when your nerves reconnect inside your body and you feel like you just got an electric shock.
Yeah, it's like a little pinch almost.
But I welcome that because it means I'm healing. Yeah. So, but yeah, I kind of wonder what it would have felt like without the nerve blocker. And
You'll never know.
And I think I started to overdo it a little bit because I did feel so good.
Oh, okay, I see, yeah.
And I think if I was in pain, I would be like, no, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah. Well, with athletes, that ends up being one of the problems with painkillers or like cortisone shots or things, because you still have the injury. You're just not feeling it, so you end up injuring it more because you're just ignoring the pain or not even feeling the pain, so you're going through all the regular motions. And that happened with a friend of mine who tore something in his shoulder or elbow throwing the javelin.
Oh, wow.
Got cortisone shots and then just kept hurting it more because he kept throwing as far as he could.
That's no good. So
that is one of the downfalls of painkillers.
So if you're debating, oh, do I get the nerve blocker? I don't know if I want to spend the extra money. Do with what I just told you. Just like do whatever you want with what I just told you. I did not feel any pain for 3 days, so that's great. And if you're someone that's like, I don't want to feel pain, then get it. My thought process also was, I need to just feel as great as I can, as quick as I can, because I got to get back here.
Also, if you don't have someone that's going to help you with things right away, you might not want the nerve blocker because you might overexert yourself.
Yeah.
If maybe you're living alone or whatever it is. But you, thankfully, you had your mom there, your dad was there, I was there, then my mom came into town. So you had a lot of help, therefore you didn't have to necessarily do too much.
No.
And you had a lot of people telling you not to do too much.
Right. They tell you don't need anyone with you after 24 hours post-op because you're still very much high. Like the next day I was still high.
Yeah.
And from the anesthesia. And I do think that's true to an extent. I was able to do way more because I had more people. You need to do way more prep to your house if you're going to be alone. Like even things in the refrigerator all have to be on like eye level or lower.
It really depends on what your house setup is like, your home setup is like.
Like even now I have to use the step stool just to get a cup from our cabinet because it's of where it is. So that's just something to think about as you go through this process. I have seen women in Facebook groups say that they traveled solo somewhere for theirs and they reached out to a local church and say, hey, I'm going through this surgery. Is there anyone? And they basically give you they ask anyone in the church who wants to volunteer to help someone and they stay with them for 24 hours.
That's pretty cool.
So that's something I would have never thought of.
Yeah, and wouldn't have crossed my mind.
Also, like there is that amazing Breast Implant Illness Facebook group where if a woman was coming to Seattle by herself for her surgery, I would probably volunteer to stay in a hotel with her at this point.
I love actually through your, whether it was Instagram, how did you meet the woman that we gave the pillow to?
Lorelai. I wanted to mention her on here. So Dr. Rankin he reposts everything that women post post-op. It's amazing. He does such a great job as a doctor letting his patients tell their story. And he would post everything I did on his Instagram. And Lorelai is explanting with him in a week from now. So she saw me on there, followed me, and DM'd me. She was like, hey, I'm explanting with Dr. Rankin next month. I actually live in Florida. Oh, this was in May. I actually live in Florida. I love following your journey, and asked me a bunch of questions. So I was happy to help her. So we were back and forth on that. And I'm still in Florida a week later, and she's like, oh, I'm actually going for my consult. She lives an hour away. I'm actually going for my consult with Dr. Rankin tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no way. I'm leaving tomorrow, and I have this wedge pillow that I've been sleeping on. Because prior to that, she was asking me, what should I get for sleeping?
Yeah.
And I said, look, I was either going to illegally return this to Amazon or donate it to Dr. Rankin's office. I've been clean for the most part. I'm just laying on it in my pajamas. Yeah. Do you want it? It's been 7 days. And I got to meet her after DMing for a few days. We met in the parking lot. I gave it to her, and we just chatted a bunch. And she's the absolute best. I guess she's been watching the podcast with her daughter. And her daughter's like, you're meeting the person from the podcast? So shout out to Lorelai and her daughter.
And that pillow, for anyone wondering, the reason you would either return it or throw it out or whatever, is it's big enough where if you're flying with that thing, it's got its own luggage, right? You're not fitting anything else. It's essentially the size of a carry-on bag, like a roller bag. So traveling cross country with that wouldn't make a ton of sense.
I was actually just checking to see if I could properly shout out Lorelai's daughter, Georgia. So hi, Georgia. I know you're a big fan of the podcast. But
it's also cool that Lorelai is sharing the experience with her daughter.
Yeah.
Because at some point in her daughter's life, she's going to have thoughts of getting implants herself, or her friends are going to get them, or something like that. And just being exposed to this doesn't mean you should or should not get implants. Right, it just means you at least have the information.
Yes.
Which generations before her did not have the information for whether or not it was available or whether or not it was hidden from them, whether or not people even knew about it.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, like you were saying, this community really is super cool. Yeah. And I've had a bunch of women randomly DM me lately who I think are seeing me comment in the Facebook group, the Breast Implant Illness Facebook group, and finding me through there or Dr. Rankin's page. I can't tell you how many women I DM'd who Dr. Rankin had posted over the last year.
Yeah.
And like, hey, you're doing this now or whatever. There are women that I've also reaching out to. Now it's bizarre that it's coming around the other way where women are reaching out to me and I'm only 13 days removed.
So with Facebook groups, and I'll be totally honest, I'm not on Facebook very much.
Yeah.
There's just a lot on Facebook now. Yeah. I feel like from back in the day, it's very overwhelming. But I also know that in Facebook groups, very quickly it can go from a positive, we're sharing information here group to be careful, every plane flying over your head is giving you toxins that are killing your babies. So do you ever find, how does the group keep kind of wackos out of there?
Honestly, it is kind of crazy. It's pretty calm in there, and it's pretty...
Does anyone try to steer the conversation away from breast implant illness?
No, because sometimes if someone mentions something, someone will be like, well, that's the same thing that's in Botox or whatever. You do get that once in a while. Or someone will be like, I'm still feeling sick or whatever. They're like, well, what are you also still doing? A lot of it is often backed up with, hey, there's this link that we have with everything doctors recommend to do post-op. It's crazy how under control it is. And I'm hoping to get Nicole. It's literally called Breast Implant Illness by Nicole. It's got 189,000 women in there now. And when we had the Heal is Real women on, they said when they first found it, there were 500 people in there.
And there's no one slinging their MLM stuff in there?
No.
Or nothing like that?
Honestly, every post has to be approved by admin.
Oh, okay.
And
that
so
helps.
I think I posted something with the link to the podcast, and I don't think they approved it, which I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not upset about it. I understand. That's how they can control they don't know what the hell I'm saying on this podcast. They don't have time to look into that. I do know there are women that are like, you shouldn't use silicone scar gel. You just took silicone out of your body. And I'm like, I'm probably drinking silicone at this point with this water.
Yeah.
But I know that just putting it topically, I'll be fine.
It's not the same.
It
might not be the best, but
I get it. There's people that don't want to use silicone cups, things. I whatever. But I also don't want the scar on my body. So for a few months, I'm going to do this. But the scar gel, because I know people are going to reach out, it's called Silogen. They also make strips. They didn't have the strips available when I was at the doctor's office. But here's what's crazy. And please, anyone, if you have any info, reach out to me. You can only buy it directly from a doctor.
Oh, really?
You can't order it from their website. And every time I'm clicking, where are we located? It's not taking me to anything with any information. I want to get the strips. I'm going to want more of this gel, I think, because you can use it on old scars too.
Can you call a plastic surgeon here and see if they have it?
If you live in the Seattle area and you know a doctor's office that has Silogen, let me know.
Okay.
That's my one request. I think that was everything I wanted to talk about. I did just want to say that in terms of what they look like, I had like 1 or 2 days of where I panicked a bit about them, and it was yesterday when I was like, if they stay like this, honestly, I'm fine. I'm okay. I know they won't, but I'm good with how they look. I'm good with how I feel. I had showed my niece what they look like. Actually, both of my nieces have seen them, and they're like, I can't believe how good they look. I cannot believe it.
That is the weird thing that I've noticed is how freely women send pictures of their bodies to one another. When we
I'm so
met
scared
Lorelai,
to get hacked. Yeah.
She was showing you, and I stepped back when this was happening. Not that it was offered to me to begin with, but it's so crazy to me how freely women will show their bodies to one another.
It's just boobs.
No, I get it. I get it.
Because you have them too.
Yeah, no.
And that's what I think we need to.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, I know that, but like that would be like you saying you want to see my pec muscles.
But I wouldn't. But that's the thing. I would never like.
But you get to go shirtless to play basketball outside in the public.
I mean, I could, I guess. Yeah, I haven't done that.
I'm gonna.
God bless you.
I have seen a lot of mastectomy patients be like, here's the best part about having a mastectomy. You get to walk around shirtless and no one thinks anything of it.
That's fair.
And it's great. I love it.
Yeah. That was a very interesting thing for me to learn was how freely women who are strangers will share pictures of themselves.
If I get hacked, you're just going to see a lot of mangled boobs at this point because it's between mine and I'm sorry I used that word. I don't want anyone to be scared going into this, but
it's surgery. It's going to look weird at first.
Between mine and other women, like that is the coolest thing. Like, oh, I'll just send you mine. Like even women I have never met will DM me on Instagram. Oh, I'll show you what mine look like. Don't worry about it. Prior to surgery.
And for the record, these are not unsolicited pictures. These are conversations people are having. So don't just start sending people.
They'll ask me, "Do you want to see?"
Yes. Very much solicited.
I even said to Anthony
or approved
that I wish there was less. Oh my God, boobs in this world because I would love when mine are healed to be like, this is what mine looked like with implants. This is what they looked like right after surgery. And this is what they look like now.
Yeah, but now you can at least like slang those pictures on OnlyFans and make some money, you know?
I want to be
I'm not saying to do that.
Okay, women, I will show you for free if you're a woman. OnlyFans, if you're a dude, you get to go look at it.
Sure.
Come on.
What
do you care?
What are you asking me?
I don't know. All right. I don't have any idea what next week's podcast is going to entail. I've been kind of going through the healing process to see what's worth talking about. I will hit the 2-week mark by the time next week comes around, and I do get to sleep flat on my back. There are a few other things I get to do. I think I can start, is it lifting 10 pounds? I'll check my notes, my 2-week notes. Oh, nothing above 10 pounds.
Okay.
So a little bit heavier. I can pick up at least 2 of the cats, which is great. But I know that I will have more episodes with guests. Mm-hmm. I talked to the author of All in Her Head. It's a book I'm currently reading. Dr. Elizabeth Cameron, I believe is her name, and she wants to come on an episode.
That's
I'm
awesome.
Very excited. So there's a lot more to come. It's happening week by week. Yeah. So stay tuned. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you have your own story you want to share about explanting, reach out to me on either Instagram. It's at the Carla Marie, but email us hello@Carla Marie and Anthony, and I'm more likely to see it there. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And peace out.
Later.
Boobs.